Of Tantra, Volume 2, The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 3, given in Bombay, India.
An orthodox says somewhere that the Western mind has been continuously searching for the theoretical component of existence, the causal link, how things happen, what is the cause, and how the effect can be controlled, how man can manipulate nature. And the Eastern mind, says Natha, has been on a different adventure. The search has been to find out the aesthetic component of reality, not the theoretical, but the aesthetic. The Eastern mind has not been much involved with the search to know how to manipulate nature, but how to be one with nature. Not how to conquer it, but how to be in a deep friendship, a deep participation with it. The Western mind has been in a conflict, a struggle. The Eastern mind has been in a mystique, a love relationship. I don't know whether Natha will agree with me or not, but my feeling is science is a hatred, a relationship of hatred with nature. Hence, a struggle, fight, conquering, the language of victory. Religion is a love relationship. Hence, no conflict, no struggle. In another way, science is a male attitude and religion a female attitude. Science is aggressive, religion is receptive. The Eastern mind is religious. Or, if you allow me to say, I will say, wherever religious mind is, it is Eastern. Scientific mind is Western. It makes no difference whether the man is born in East or West. I'm using East and West as two attitudes, two approaches, not two geographical denominations. You can be born in the West, but you may not belong there. You may be as Eastern, out and out. You may be born in the East, you may not belong. You may be scientific. The approach may be mathematical, intellectual. Tantra is absolutely Eastern. It is a way of participating with reality. How to be one with it, how to dissolve boundaries, how to move in an undifferentiated realm. Mind differentiates, creates boundaries, definitions. Because mind cannot work without definitions, without boundaries. The more clear-cut the boundaries, the better the possibility for the mind to work. So mind cuts, divides, chops everything. Religion is dissolving boundaries to move to the undifferentiated, where there is no definition, where there is no limit to anything, where everything moves into everything else, where everything is everything else. You cannot cut, you cannot chop existence. The consequences are bound to be very different. By scientific approach, by dividing, chopping, you can come only to dead particles, atoms. Because life is something which cannot be cut into divisions. And the moment you cut it, it is no more there. It is as if someone goes to study a symphony by studying each single note. Each single note is part of the symphony, but it is not symphony. The symphony is created by many notes dissolving into each other. You cannot study symphony by studying notes. I cannot study you by studying your parts. You are not just a total. You are more than that. When you divide and cut and analyze, life disappears from there. Only dead parts are left. That's why science will never be capable to know what life is. And whatsoever is known through science will be about death, matter. It will never be about life. Science may become capable of manipulating life. Knowing the parts, the dead parts, it may be capable to manipulate life, but still, life is not known, not even touched. Life remains unknowable by science. By the very nature of its technology, its methodology, by the very approach, life cannot be known through it. That's why science goes on denying anything else than matter. The very approach debars any contact with that which is life. And the same happens, vice versa also. If you move deeply into religion, you will start denying matter. Sankara says, matter is illusion. It is not there, it simply appears to be. The whole Eastern approach has been denying the world, matter, anything. Material. Why? Science goes on denying life, the divine, consciousness. Religious, deeper experiences go on denying matter, all that is material. Why? The very approach. If you look at life without differentiation, matter disappears. Matter is life divided, differentiated. Matter means life defined, analyzed into parts. So of course, if you look at life undifferentiatedly and become part of it, in a deep participation, as two lovers become one, you become one with existence, matter disappears. That's why Sankara says matter is illusion. It is, if you participate in existence. But Marx says consciousness is just a byproduct. It is not substantial. It is just a function of matter. If you divide life, then consciousness disappears, becomes illusory. Then only matter is. What I am intending to say to you is this. Existence is one. If you approach it through analysis, it appears material, dead. If you approach it through participation, it appears as life, divine consciousness. If you approach it through science, there is no possibility of any deep bliss happening to you. Because with dead matter, bliss is impossible. At the most, it can only be illusory. Only with a deep participation, bliss is possible. Tantra is a love technique. The effort is to make you one with existence. So you will have to lose many things before you can enter. You will have to lose your habitual pattern of analyzing things. You will have to lose the deep-rooted attitude of fighting, of thinking in terms of conquering. When Hillary reached to the highest peak of Himalaya, Everest, all the Western world reported it as conquering the Everest. Only in a Zen monastery in Japan, on a wall newspaper it was written, Everest has been befriended, not conquered. This is the difference. Everest has been befriended. Now humanity has become friendly. And Everest has allowed Hillary to come to him. Not a conquering. The very word conquer is vulgar, violent. To think in terms of conquering shows aggressiveness. But the Everest has received Hillary, welcomed. And now humanity has become friendly. Now the chasm is bridged. Now we are not unacquainted. One of us has been received by Everest. Now Everest has become part of human consciousness. This is a bridging. And the whole thing becomes totally different as you look at it. Remember this before we enter the techniques. Remember this. Tantra is a love effort towards existence. That's why so much of sex has been used by Tantra. Because it is a love technique. It is not only love between man and woman, it is a love between you and existence. And for the first time, existence becomes meaningful to you. If you are a man, then existence appears meaningful to you through a woman. If you are a woman, then existence becomes for the first time meaningful through a man. That's why sex has been so much discussed and used by Tantra. Think yourself as absolutely asexual, as if all sex has been removed from you the day you were born. Just think. All sex was removed completely from you the day you were born. You will be unable to love. You will be unable to feel any affinity with anyone. It will be difficult to get out of yourself. You will remain enclosed. You will not be able to approach, to go out, to meet someone there in existence. You will be a dead thing, closed from everywhere. Sex is your effort to reach out. You move from yourself. Someone else becomes the center. You leave your ego behind. You go away from it to meet someone. And really, if you want to meet, you will have to surrender. And if the other also wants to meet you, he will also have to move out. Look at the miracle. In love, what happens? You move to the other and the other moves to you. He comes into you and you go into him or into her. You have changed the places. Now he becomes your soul and you become his soul or her soul. This is a participation. Now you are meeting. Now you have become a circle. This is the first meeting where you are not enclosed in the ego. This meeting can become just a stepping stone towards a greater meeting with the universe, with existence, with reality. Tantra is based not on intellect, but on heart. It is not an intellectual effort. It is a feeling effort. Remember this, because that will help you to understand the techniques. Now we will enter the techniques. First technique. Be the unsame same to friend as to strangers, in honor and in dishonor. Be the unsame same to friend as to strangers, in honor and dishonor. Be the unsame same. This is the base. What is happening in you? Two things are happening. Something in you remains continuously the same. It never changes. You may not have observed it. You may not have encountered it yet. But if you observe, you will come to know something in you remains constantly the same. Because of that same, you can have an identity. Because of that same X, you feel yourself centered. Otherwise, you will be at chaos. You say, my childhood. Now what has remained of it? Who says my childhood? Who is this my? Me, I. Nothing has remained of your childhood. If your pictures are shown to you for the first time of your childhood, you will not be able to recognize them. Everything has changed. Your body is no more the same. Not a single cell has remained the same. Physiologists say, body is a flux. It is river-like. Every moment, many cells are dying and many new are born. Within 7 years, your body would have changed completely. So if you are going to live for 70 years, for 10 times, your body has renewed completely. Every moment your body is changing. And your mind. You cannot recognize your photograph of your childhood. And if it is possible to give you a photograph of your mind, of your childhood mind, it will be impossible to recognize it. Your mind is even more efflux than your body. Every moment, everything changes. Even for a single moment, nothing remains the same. In the morning, you were different as far as your mind is concerned. In the evening, you are totally a different person. Buddha used to say, when someone will come to meet him and will go and depart and will take a leave of him, he will say, remember, the man who came to meet me is not the man who is going back. You are totally different now. Your mind has changed. Meeting with a Buddha, of course, is bound to change your mind. For better or worse, that is. But you cannot be the same. You came here with a different mind. You will go with a different mind. Something has changed. Something new has been added. Something has been deleted. And even if you are not meeting anyone, just remaining by yourself, then too you cannot remain the same. Every moment, the river is moving. Heraclitus has said, you cannot step twice in the same river. The same can be said about man. You cannot meet the same man again. Impossible. And because of this fact, and because of our ignorance of it, life becomes a misery. Because you go on expecting the other to be the same. You marry a girl, and you expect her to be the same. She cannot be. Unmarried, she was different. Married, she is completely different. A lover is something else. A husband is totally different. You cannot expect your lover to meet you through your husband. That's impossible. A lover is a lover. A husband is a husband. The moment a lover becomes a husband, everything has changed. But you go on expecting. And that creates misery. Unnecessary misery. If we can recognize this fact that mind goes on moving and changing continuously, we will escape many, many miseries without any cost. Simple awareness that mind changes. You love me, and then I go on expecting love. But the next moment you hate me. Then I'm disturbed. Not because of your hate, but only because of my expectation. And you have changed. And you are alive, so you are bound to change. But if you can see through the reality as it is, you will not be disturbed, because you know one who was in love a moment before can be in hate a moment later. Wait 1 moment later and he will be in love again. So don't be in a hurry, just be patient. And if the other can also see this changing pattern, then we will not be fighting for changing patterns. They change. That's natural. So if you look at your body, it changes. If you try to understand your mind, it changes. It is never the same. Even for 2 consequent moments, nothing is same. Your personality goes on like a flux. If this is all, and there is nothing which remains the same continuously, eternally, timelessly, then who will remember that this was my childhood? Childhood has changed. The body has changed. The mind has changed. Then who remembers? Then who knows about childhood and about youth and about old age? Who knows? This knower must remain the same. This witness must remain the same. Only then the witness can have a perspective. The witness can say, this is my childhood, this is my young age, this is my old age. This moment I was in love, and this moment the love changed into hatred. This witnessing consciousness, this knower, is always the same. So you have 2 realms, or 2 dimensions existing together with you, in you. You are both the changing, always changing, and the non-changing, and always remaining non-changing. If you become aware of these 2 realms, then this technique will be helpful. Be the unsame same. Remember this. Be the unsame same. You are bound to be unsame on the periphery, but on the center remain the same. Remember that which is same. Just remembering will be enough. You need not do anything else. It is non-changing. You cannot change it, but you can forget it. You can be so engrossed, obsessed with the changing world around you, of your body, of your mind, that you may completely forget the center. The center is so clouded by the changing flux. And of course, there are problems. That which is constantly the same, difficult to remember it, because change creates problems. For example, if a constant noise goes on around you, you will not be aware of it. A clock on the wall goes on tick-tack, tick-tack the whole day. You are never aware of it. But if suddenly it stops, you will immediately become aware. Because constantly the same, there is no need to take any notice. When something changes, the mind has to take notice. It creates a gap, and the pattern vibrates. You were hearing it continuously. There was no need to hear it. It was there. It has become part of the background. But now suddenly the clock stops. You will become aware. Your consciousness will come suddenly to the gap. It is just like if your one teeth falls down, then your tongue goes continuously to it. And the teeth was there, and the tongue never tried any meeting. And now the teeth is not there. Just a gap is there. And the whole day, howsoever you try, you cannot help. The tongue goes to the gap. Why? Because something is missing. And the background has changed. Something new has entered. Whenever something new enters, you become conscious. For many reasons. It is a safety measure. It is needed by your life to survive. When something changes, you have to become aware. It may be dangerous. You have to take notice. And you have to adjust again to the new situation that has come into being. But if everything is as it was, there is no need. You need not be aware. And this same element in you, what Hindus have called Atman, the soul, this has been so always, from the very beginning, if there was any beginning. And it is going to be to the very end, if there is going any end. It has been eternally the same. How you can be aware of it? Because it is so permanently the same, eternally the same, you are missing it. You take notice of the body, you take notice of the mind because they are changing. And because you take notice of them, you start thinking that you are them. You know only them. You become identified. The whole spiritual effort is to find out the same amidst the unsame. To find out the eternal in the changing. To find out that which is always the same. That is your center. And if you can remember that center, only then this technique will be easy. Or, if you can do this technique, remembering will become easy. From both the ends, you can travel. If you try this technique, the technique is, be the unsame same to friend as to stranger. To the friend and to the enemy or to the stranger. Be the unsame same. What does it mean? It seems contradictory. In a way, you will have to change. Because if your friend comes to meet you, you will have to meet differently. And if a stranger comes, you will have to meet differently. How can you meet a stranger as if you knew him already? You cannot. The difference will be there. But still deep down remain the same. The attitude must remain the same. The behavior will be unsame. You cannot meet an unknown person as if you know him already. How can you meet him? You can pretend at the most, but pretensions will not do. The difference will be there. There is no need to pretend with a friend that he is a friend. With a stranger, if you even try that he is a friend, it will be a pretension and something new. You cannot be the same. Unsameness will be necessary. As far as behavior is concerned, you will be different. But as far as your consciousness is concerned, you can be the same. You can look at the friend as the stranger. Difficult. You may have heard, look at the stranger as the friend. But that is not possible if what I say is not possible. First, look at your friend as the stranger. Only then you can look at the stranger as the friend. They are correlated. Have you ever looked at your friends as if they are strangers? If you have not looked, then you have not looked at all. Look at your wife. Really, do you know her? You may have lived for 20 years, or even more. And the more you live with her, the more is the possibility you will go on forgetting that she is a stranger. And she remains a stranger. Howsoever you love will not make any difference. Really, if you love her more strange she will look. Because the more you love, the deeper you penetrate. And the more you know how river-like she is, moving, changing, alive, every moment different. If you don't look deeply, just stick to the labels that she is your wife, this is her name and that. Then you have chosen a particular fragment. And you go on thinking that fragment as your wife. And whenever she changes, she has to hide her changes. She may not be in a loving mood, but she has to pretend. Because you expect love from your wife. Then everything becomes false. She is not allowed to change. She is not allowed to be herself. When something is being forced, then whole relationship goes dead. The more you love, the more you will feel the changing pattern. Then each moment you are strangers. You cannot predict. You cannot say how your husband is going to behave tomorrow morning. You can predict only if you have a dead husband. Then you can predict. Predictions are possible only about things, never about persons. If some person is predictable, know well, he is dead. He has died. His living is just false. You can predict. Nothing is predictable about persons because of the change. Look at your friend as a stranger. He is. Don't be afraid, because we are afraid of strangers. So we go on forgetting that even a friend is a stranger. If you can look in your friend the stranger also, you will never get frustrated, because you cannot expect anything from a stranger. You take your friends taken for granted, hence expectations, and then frustrations. Because no one can fulfill your expectations. No one is here to fulfill your expectations. Everyone is here to fulfill his own expectations. No one is here to fulfill you. Everyone is here to fulfill himself or herself. And you expect others to fulfill you, and others expect you to fulfill them. Conflict, violence, struggle, and misery. Go on always remembering the stranger. Don't forget, even your closest friend is a stranger, as far removed from you as possible. If this feeling happens to you and this knowing, then you can look at the stranger and you can find the friend there also. If a friend can be a stranger, then a stranger can be a friend. Look at a stranger. He doesn't know your language. He doesn't belong to your country. He doesn't belong to your religion. He doesn't belong to your color. You are white and he is black. You are black and he is white. You cannot communicate through language. You don't belong to the same church. So there is no common ground. Nation, religion, race, color, no common ground. He is totally a stranger. But look into his eyes, and the same humanity. And that is the common ground. And the same life. And that is the common ground. And the same existence. That is the root of your being friends. You may not understand his language. You can understand him. Even silence can be communicative. Just looking deep down into his eyes, the friend will be revealed. And if you know how to look, then even an enemy cannot deceive you. You can look the friend. If you know how to look, then even an enemy cannot deceive you. He cannot prove that he is not your friend. Howsoever far removed, he is near you. Because you belong to the same existential current, to the same river to which he belongs. You belong to the same arc of being. If this happens, then even a tree is not far away from you. And even a stone is not far away from you. One stone is very strange. No meeting ground. No possibility of any communication. But same existence. The stone also exists. The stone also participates in being. He is there. I call he. He also takes space. He also adjusts in time. The sun also rises for him as it rises for you. One day he was not as you were not. And one day you will die. And he will also die. The stone will disappear. In existence we meet. The meeting is the friendship. In personality we differ. In manifestation we differ. In essence we are one. In manifestations we are strangers. So howsoever close, we remain far away. You can sit close. You can embrace each other. There is no possibility to come more closer. But still, as far as your changing personality is concerned, you are never the same. You are never similar. You are always strangers. You cannot meet there. Because before you can meet, you have changed. There is no possibility of meeting. As far as bodies are concerned and minds are concerned, there can be no meeting. Because before you can meet, you are no more the same. Have you ever observed? You feel love for someone. A very deep upsurge. You are filled with it. And the moment you go and say, I love you, have you observed? It has disappeared. It may not be there now. It may be just a memory. It was there. It is not there now. The very fact that you asserted it, made it manifest, it has entered into the realm of change. When you felt it, it may have been deep in the essence. But when you bring it out, you are bringing it into the pattern of time and change. It is entering into the river. And when you say, it may have disappeared completely. So difficult. But if you observe, it will become a fact. Then you can look in the friend, the stranger, and in the stranger, the friend. Then you can remain the unsame same. You change peripherally. You remain the same in the essence, in the center. In honor and dishonor. Who is honored and who is dishonored? You? Never. Only that which is changing. And that you are not. Someone honors you. If you take it that he is honoring you, you will be in difficulty. He honors particular manifestation in you, not you. How can he know you? Even you don't know yourself. He honors a particular manifestation. He honors something which has come to your changing personality. You are kind, loving. He honors it. But this kindness and this love is just on the periphery. Next moment, you will not be loving. You may be filled with hate. There may be no flowers, only thorns. You may not be so happy. You may be just sad, depressed. You may be cruel and angry. Then he will dishonor you. Again, the manifestation. Others come in contact not with you, but only with your manifestations. Remember this. They are not honoring or dishonoring you. They cannot do either, because they don't know. They cannot know. Even you are not aware of yourself, how they can be. They have their set formulas. They have their theories. They have their measurements and criterions. They have their touchstones. And they say, if a man is such, we will honor. And if a man is such, we will dishonor. So they do according to their criterions. And you are never put to their touchstones, only your manifestations. So they can call you a sinner one day and a saint another. And they can call you a saint today, and the next day they may go against you, stone you to death. What is happening? They come in contact with your periphery. They never come in contact with you. Remember this, that whatsoever they are saying, it is not about you. You remain beyond. You remain outside. Their condemnations, their appreciations, whatsoever they do, is not really concerned with you, just with your manifestations in time. I will tell you one Zen anecdote. One young monk who lived near Kyoto. He was beautiful, young, and the whole town was impressed. They honored him. They believed him to be a great saint. Then one day, everything turned upside down. One girl became pregnant, and she told to her parents that this monk is responsible. So the whole town turned against him. They came, they burnt the cottage. It was morning, and a very cold morning, a winter morning. And they threw the child over the monk. And the father of the girl told him, this is your child, so take the responsibility. So the monk simply said, is it so? And then the child started weeping. So he forgot about the couch and became careful about the child. They went this side the whole cottage, burnt it down. And then the child was hungry, and the monk was without any money. So he had to go to beg in the city for the child. But who will give him now? Just few moments before, and he was a great saint. No, he was a great sinner. Who will give him now? Wherever he tried, they closed their doors on his face. They condemned him like anything. Then he reached to the same house, to the house of the girl. The girl was very much disturbed. And when she heard the child weeping and screaming, and the monk is standing there and just saying that, don't give to me anything, I am a sinner, but this child is not a sinner. You can give milk to this child. Then the girl confessed that just to hide the real father of the child, she had taken the name of the monk. He is absolutely innocent. So the whole town turned again. They fell into his feet. He started asking his forgiveness. And the father of the girl came, took the child back with weeping eyes, tears rolling down. And he said, but why didn't you say before? Why didn't you refuse in the morning? This child doesn't belong to you. And the monk is reported to say again, is it so? In the morning also he said, is it so? This child belongs to me. And in the afternoon also he said, is it so? This child doesn't belong to me. This is how this sutra has to be applied in life. Honor, dishonor. You must remain the unsame same. The innermost center must remain the same, whatsoever happens to the periphery. The periphery is bound to change. You must not change. And because you are two, the periphery and the center, that's why the opposite, the contradictory terms have been used, be the unsame same. And you can apply this technique to all opposite phenomena, love and hate, or anything, poverty or richness, comfort or uncomfort. Remain the unsame same. Just know the change is happening only to your periphery. It cannot happen to you. It is impossible. So you can remain detached. And this detachment is not forced. You simply know it is so. This is not a forced detachment. This is not any effort on your part to remain detached. If you try to remain detached, you are still on the periphery. You have not known the center. The center is detached. It has always been so. It is transcendental. It is always the beyond. Whatsoever happens below never happens to it. Try this in polar situations. Go on feeling something in you which is the same. When someone is insulting you, Focus yourself to the point where you are just listening to him, not doing anything, not reacting, just listening. He is insulting you, and then someone is praising you. Just listen. Insult, the praise, honor and dishonor, just listen. Your periphery will get disturbed. Look at it also. Don't try to change it. Don't try to change it, just look at it. And remain deep in your center, looking from there. You will have a detachment which is not forced, which is spontaneous, which is natural. And once you have the feeling of the natural detachment, nothing can disturb you. You will remain silent, whatsoever happens in the world. You will remain unmoved. Even if someone is killing you, only the body will be touched, not you. You will remain beyond. This beyondness leads you into existence, into that which is bliss, eternal, into that which is true, always, into that which is deathless, into life itself. You may call it God, or you can choose your own term. You can call it nirvana, whatsoever you like. But unless you move from the periphery to the center, and unless you become aware of the eternal in you, religion has not happened to you, neither life has happened to you. You are missing. Missing, simply missing all that is possible, the ecstasy of living. Sankara says that I call the man a sannyasin, one who has renounced. I call that man a sannyasin who knows what is changing and what is non-changing, who knows what is moving and one who knows what is non-moving. This, in Indian philosophy, is known as the discrimination, vivek. To discriminate between these two, the realm of the change and the realm of the unchanging. This is called vivek, discrimination, awareness. This sutra can be used very, very deeply and very easily. Whatsoever you are doing, you feel hunger, remember the two realms. Hunger can be felt only by the periphery, because the periphery needs food, needs fuel. You don't need food. You don't need any fuel. But the body needs. Remember, when hunger happens, remember it is happening to the periphery. You are just the knower about it. If you are not there, it will not be known. If the body is not there, it will not happen. By your absence, only knowledge will not be there. Because the body cannot know. The body can have it, but not know it. You know it, you cannot have it. So never say that I am hungry. Always say within you, I know my body is hungry. Give emphasis to your knowing. Then the discrimination is there. You are becoming old. Never say, I am becoming old. Just say, I know my body is becoming old. Then in the moment of death also you will know, I am not dying. My body is dying. I am changing the body. Just changing the house. If this discrimination deepens, one day suddenly there will be enlightenment. The second sutra. Here is a sphere of change. Change, change. Through change, consume change. Here is a sphere of change. Change and change. Through change, consume change. The first thing to understand that everything you know about is change. Except you, the knower. Everything is change. Have you seen anything which is not change? This whole world is a phenomenon of change. Even the Himalaya is changing. They say, the scientists who work on it, it is growing. This Himalaya is the youngest mountain in the world. It's still a child, really. It's still growing. It has not become yet mature. It has not reached to the point from one begins to decline. It is still rising. If you compare it with the Vindhyachal, another mountain, it is just a child. Vindhya is one of the oldest, and some say the oldest mountain in the world on earth. It is so old, it is decreasing, coming down. For centuries, it is coming down, just dying in its old age. So even the Himalaya, which looks so stable, unchanging, unmoving, is changing. It is just a river of stone. Stones make no difference. They are also river-like, floating. Everything is, comparatively, something looks more changing, something looks less changing. But that is only relative. Nothing is that you can know. Remember my point. Nothing is that you can know as unchanging, except the knower. But that is always behind. Always knows. It always knows. It is really never known. It can never become the object. It is always the subject. Whatsoever you do and know, it is always behind. You cannot know it. When I say it, don't get disturbed. When I say you cannot know it, I mean you cannot know it as an object. I can look at you. How can I look at myself in the same way? Impossible. Because to be in a relationship of knowledge, two things are needed, the knower and the known. So when I look at you, you are the known, and I am the knower, and the knowledge can exist as a bridge. But where to make the bridge when I am trying to know myself? Because there only I am, alone, totally alone. The other bank is missing. So where to create the bridge? How to know myself? So self-knowledge is a negative process. You cannot know yourself directly. Simply you go on eliminating objects of knowledge. Go on eliminating objects of the knowledge. When there is no object of knowledge, when you cannot know anything, there is nothing, the vacuum, the emptiness. This is what meditation is. Just eliminating all objects of knowledge. Then a moment comes, consciousness is, but there is nothing to be conscious of. Knowing is, but there is nothing to know. Simple, pure energy of knowing remains, and nothing left to be known. No object. In that state, when there is nothing to be known, it is said you know yourself in a certain sense. But that knowledge is totally different from all other knowledges. The same word is misleading for both. So there have been mystics who have said self-knowledge is contradictory. The very word is contradictory. Knowledge is always of the other. Self-knowledge is not possible. But when the other is not, something happens. You may call it self-knowledge. But the word is misleading. So whatsoever you know is change. Everywhere, even these walls are constantly changing. Now physics supports this. Even these walls which look so static, non-changing, they are changing every moment. A great flux is on. Every atom is moving. Every electron is moving. Everything is moving. Fast. And the movement is so fast that you cannot detect it. That's why the wall looks so permanent. In the morning it was like this. In the afternoon it was like this. In the evening it was like this. Yesterday it was like this. And tomorrow it will be like this. You look at this as the same. It is not. Because your eyes are not capable to detect such great movement. The fan is there. If the fan is moving very fast, you will not be able to see these spits. It will look just as one circle. Spits cannot be seen because the movement is fast. And if the movement is so fast, just as fast as electrons are moving, you will not see that the fan is moving at all. You cannot detect the movement. It will look static. You can even touch it. It will be static. And your hand cannot enter in the gaps. Because your hand cannot move so fast to go in the gaps. Before you move, another blade will have come. Before you move, another blade will have come. You will always touch the blade. And the movement will be so fast, it will look like non-moving. So things that you feel as non-moving are very fast moving. That's why the appearance, that they are static. This sutra says everything is change. Here is a sphere of change. On this sutra, Buddha's whole philosophy stands. Buddha says everything is flux, change, non-permanent. Know this. And Buddha's emphasis is so much on this point. His whole standpoint is based on it. He says change, change, change. Remember this continuously. Why? If you can remember change, detachment will happen. How can you be attached when everything is changing? You look at a face, very beautiful. When you look at a face, very beautiful, there is a feeling, this is going to remain. Understood deeply. Never expressed, but you have a feeling this is going to remain. But if you know that this is changing fast, this is beautiful this moment, this may be ugly next. How can you feel any attachment? Impossible. Look at the body, it is alive, and next moment it will be dead. So all is futile if you feel the change. Buddha left his palace, his family, his beautiful wife, his child. And when someone asked him why, so he said, where there is nothing permanent, what is the use? The child will die. And the night Buddha left, the child was born. He was just a few hours old. Buddha went into the room of his wife to have a last look. The wife's back was towards the door. She was holding the child in her hands in her sleep. Buddha wanted to say goodbye. But then he resisted. He said, what is the use? A moment came into his mind, a thought flashed. But the child is just 1 day old, a few hours old. I must have a look. But then he said, what is the use? Everything is changing. This day the child is born, and the next day the child will die. And 1 day before he was not here, and now he is here. And 1 day he will not be here. So what is the use? Everything is changing. He left. He turned back and left. When someone asked, why you left all that? So he said, I am in search for that which never changes. Because if I stick to that which changes, it is going to be frustration. If I cling to that which is changing, I am stupid. Because it will change. It will not remain the same. And then I will be frustrated. So I am in search for that which never changes. If there is anything which never changes, only then life has any worth and meaning. Otherwise, everything is futile. He based his whole teaching on change. This sutra is beautiful. This sutra says, throw change, consume change. Buddha will never say the second part. The second part is basically tantric. Buddha will say everything is change, feel it, and then you will not cling to it. And when you don't cling to it, By and by leaving everything that changes, you will fall in yourself to the center where there is no change. Just go on eliminating change, and you will come to the unmover, to the center of the wheel. That's why Buddha has chosen wheel as the symbol of his religion. Because the wheel moves, but the center on which it moves remains unmoving. So the samsara, the world moves like a wheel. Your personality moves like a wheel. And your innermost essence remains the center on which the wheel moves. It remains unmoving. Buddha will say, life is change. He will agree with the first part. The next, second part is typically tantric. Throw change, consume change. Tantra says, don't leave it. Move into it. Don't cling, but move. Why? Be afraid. Why? Be afraid. Move into it. Live it out. Allow it to happen, and you move into it. Consume it through itself. Don't be afraid. Don't escape. Where you will escape? How can you escape? Everywhere is change. Tantra says everywhere is change where you will escape. Where you can go. Wherever you go, the change will be there. So all escape is futile. Don't try to escape. And what to do? Don't cling. Live the change. Be the change. Don't create any struggle with it. Move with it. The river is flowing. You float into it. Don't even swim. Allow the river to take you. Don't fight with it, because don't waste your energy by fighting. Just relax. Be in a let go and move with the river. What will happen? If you can move with the river without any conflict, without any direction of your own, the river's direction is your direction. Suddenly you will become aware that you are not the river. You will become aware that you are not the river. Feel it. Someday try it in a river. Go there, relax, and allow the river to take you. Don't fight. Become the river. Suddenly you will feel the river is all around, but you are not the river. In fighting, you may forget this. That's why Tantra says, throw change, consume change. Don't fight. There is no need, because in you the change cannot enter. So don't be afraid. Live in the world. Don't be afraid, because in you the world cannot enter. Live it. Don't choose this way or that. There are two types of people. One who will cling to the world of change, or one who will escape. But Tantra says it is change. To cling is futile. To escape also. What is the use? As Buddha says, what is the use of remaining in a world of change? Tantra says, but what is the use of escaping from it? Both are futile. Rather, allow it to happen. You are not concerned with it. It is happening. You are not needed even for it. You were not, and the world was changing. And you will not be, and the world will go on changing. So why create any fuss about it? Consume change through change. This is a very deep message. Consume anger through anger. Consume sex through sex. Consume greed through greed. And consume samsara through samsara. Don't fight with it. Be relaxed. Because fight creates tensions. And fight creates anxiety, anguish. And you will be unnecessarily disturbed. Allow the world as it is. Remember here 2 points. One, there are persons who cannot allow the world as it is. They are called revolutionaries. They will change it. They will struggle to change it. They will destroy their whole lives in changing it. And it is already changing. They are not needed. Only they will consume themselves. They will burn out in changing the world. It is already changing. No revolution really is needed. The world is a revolution. It is changing. You may wonder, that's why India has not created great revolutionaries. Because of this insight. Everything is already changing. Why? You are disturbed to change it. You can neither change it nor stop the change. It is changing. Why waste yourself? One type of personality always tries to change the world. In religion's eyes, he is neurotic. Really, he is afraid of coming to himself. So he goes on and becomes obsessed with the world. The state has to be changed, the government has to be changed, the society, the structure, the economics, everything has to be changed. And he will die. And he will never have a moment of ecstasy of knowing what he was. And the world will continue, and the wheel will go on moving. It has seen many revolutionaries, and it goes on moving. Neither you can stop it, nor you can accelerate the change. This is the mystic's attitude. The mystic says there is no need to change the world. But mystics are also of two types. One who will say there is no need to change the world, but there is a need to change oneself. He also believes in changing. Not changing the world, but himself. But Tantra says there is no need to change anyone, neither the world nor yourself. That's the deepest mystic course. You need not change the world, and you need not change yourself. You are just to know that everything is changing. And float in the change and relax in the change. And the moment you relax totally, and there is no effort to create any change, because if the effort is there, you cannot relax. Then the tension will be there. Because in the future, something valuable is going to happen. Either the world is going to change, the world is going to become communistic. The earthly paradise is to come. Some utopia in the future. Or you are going to enter into the kingdom of God. Or in the moksha. Somewhere in the paradise, The angels are waiting to welcome you. But somewhere in the future, you are going to be tense. Tantra says, forget. The world is already changing. And you are also already changing. Change is existence. Don't get worried about it. It is already happening without you. You are not needed. You just float in it with no anxiety for the future. And suddenly, amidst change, you will become aware of a center within you which has never changed. It has remained always as it is the same. Why it happens? Because if you are relaxed, then the changing background gives you the contrast. And through it, you can feel the non-changing. If you are in any effort to change the world or yourself, you cannot look at the small, unmoving center within you. You are so much obsessed with change. You are not in the leisure to have a look. What is the case? The change is all around. The change becomes the background, the contrast, and you are relaxed. So there is no future in your mind, no future thought. You are here now. This moment is all. Everything is changing. Suddenly you become aware of a point within you which has never changed. Thorough change consumes change. This is what is meant. Thorough change consumes change. Don't fight. Through death, become deathless. Through death, allow the death to die. Don't fight with it. This Tantra attitude is difficult to conceive because our minds want to do something. And this is a non-doing. Just relaxing, not doing. But this is one of the most hidden secrets. If you can feel this, you need not bother about anything else. This one technique can give you all. Then you need not do anything. Because you have come to know the secret that through change can be consumed, and through death can be consumed, and through sex can be consumed, and through anger can be consumed. Now you have come to know the secret that through poison can be consumed. Enough for today.
Volume 2, The Book of the Secrets, a new commentary. Discourse number 4, given in Bombay, India.
The first question. In reference to your statement that Tantra is a love technique, please explain why modern man and woman have become incapable of love. Love is spontaneous. It cannot be controlled. You cannot make love. You cannot do anything about it. And the more you do, the more you will miss it. You have to allow it to happen. You are not needed for it. Your presence is the hindrance. The more absent, the better. When you are not, love happens. Because of this, modern man and woman have become incapable of love. They are capable of doing things. The whole modern mind is based on doing. So whatsoever can be done, modern man can do more efficiently than any man that has ever existed. Whatsoever can be done, we can do more efficiently. We are the most efficient century. We have turned everything into technology. How to do it? We have developed in one dimension, and that is the dimension of doing. But in developing this dimension, we have lost much. At the cost of being, we have learned how to do things. So that which can be done, we can do better than anyone, any society that ever existed on earth. But when the question of love comes, the problem arises because it cannot be done. And not only with love, all that which cannot be done, we have become incapable. For example, meditation. We have become incapable. It cannot be done. Play. We have become incapable. It cannot be done. Joy, happiness, we have become incapable because they cannot be done. They are not acts. You cannot manipulate them. On the contrary, you have to let go yourself. Then joy happens to you. Then happiness comes to you. Then love enters you. Then love takes possession. And because of this possession, we have become afraid. Modern mind, modern man wants to possess everything and not being possessed by anything. Modern man wants to be the master of everything. And you can be only masters of things, not of happenings. You can be the master of a house. You can be the master of a mechanical device. You cannot be the master of anything which is alive. Life cannot be mastered. You cannot possess it. On the contrary, you have to be possessed by it. Only then there is contact with it. Love is life. And it is greater than you. You cannot possess it. I would like to repeat it. Love is greater than you. You cannot possess it. You can only allow yourself to be possessed by it. It cannot be controlled. Modern ego wants to control everything. And whatsoever you cannot control, you become scared about it. You are afraid. You close the door. You close that dimension completely because fear enters. You will not be in control. With love, you cannot be in control. And the whole trend which has led to this century was how to control. All over the world, and particularly in the West, how to control nature, how to control everything, how to control energies. Man must become the master. And you have become master. Of course, only of those things which are possible to be purchased. But then side by side, you have been developing the incapacity for those things which cannot be purchased. So you can purchase money, you cannot purchase love. And because of this, we have been turning everything into a thing, even persons. We go on turning into things, because then you can purchase them. If you love a person, you are not the master. No one is the master. Two persons love each other. No one is the master, neither the lover nor the beloved. Rather, love is the master. And both are purchased by a greater force than themselves, encircled by a greater force, a whirlwind. If they try to purchase each other, they will miss. Then they can purchase each other. Then the lover will become the husband, and the beloved will become the wife. Then they can purchase. But husband is a thing. Wife is a thing. They are not persons. You can purchase them. They are dead entities, legal labels, not alive. We go on turning persons into things just to purchase them. And then we feel frustrated. Because we wanted to purchase the person. And the person cannot be purchased. When you purchase it, it is no more the person, it is a dead thing. And you cannot be fulfilled by a dead thing. So look at this contradiction. You can be fulfilled only by persons, never by things. And your mind desires possession. So you turn them into things. Then you cannot be fulfilled, then frustration sets in. Possessiveness, the attitude to purchase, has killed the capacity to love. Don't think in terms of possession. Rather think in terms of being possessed. That is what surrender means, being possessed. You allow yourself to be possessed by something greater than you. Then you will be not in control. Then a greater force will take you. Then the direction will not be yours. Then you cannot choose the goal. Then the future is unknown. You cannot be secure now. Moving with a greater force than yourself, you are insecure, afraid. If you are afraid and insecure, it is better not to move with the great forces. Just work with lower forces than you. Then you can be the master. And you can decide the goal beforehand. And you will get the goal. But you will not get anything out of it. Just you would have wasted your life. The secret of love and the secret of prayer and the secret of anything that can make you fulfilled is surrender. The capacity to be purchased. Because of this. And there are other reasons also, but this is the base. The other reasons, the first, is too much emphasis on intellect, the reason. So man is lopsided. Your head has grown, and your heart has remained absolutely neglected. And love is not a capacity of the intellect. It is a different center. It has a different locus, source. It is your heart. It is your feeling. It is not reasoning. But the whole modern education consists of reasoning, logic, intellect, mind. The heart is not even talked about. It is really denied. It is just a poetic fiction. It is not. It is a reality. Just look at it in this way. If from the very beginning a child is brought up without any training of the mind, any reasoning, any intellectual training, will he have an intellect? He cannot. There have been cases. Sometimes it has happened that wolves have brought a human child. And just 10 years before, one child was cut off from a forest. The wolves have brought him up. He was 14 years of age. He couldn't even stand on two legs. He will run on his horse. He couldn't speak a single word. He will roll like a wolf. He was in every way a wolf. 14 years of age. Those who have caught him, they named him Ram. The child took 6 months to learn the name. And within a year, the child died. And the psychologists who were working on him, they suspect that he died because too much strain of intellect. This forcing, training to stand on 2 feet, this memory, remembering the name, this effort to make him a human being killed him. He was robust and healthy when he was caught, more healthy than any human being ever is. He was just like an animal. But this training killed him. And the only proof the child could give of his intellect was this much. After 6 months constant training, punishment, creating a profit motive, every effort was done. That if you could have asked, what is your name? He will say Ram. This was the whole intellect. What happened? If someone from Mars gets hold of this child, they will think humanity has no mind, no intellect, no reason. The same has happened to the heart. Without training, it is as if it is not. It has been completely neglected. So your whole life energy has been forced towards the head, not towards the heart. And love is a functioning of the heart center. That's why modern man has become incapable of love, because modern man has become incapable of a heart. He calculates, and love is not a calculation. He knows arithmetic. Love is not arithmetic. He thinks in terms of logic. Love is illogical. He always tries to rationalize everything whatsoever he is doing. Reason must support it. Love is not supported by reason. Really, when you fall in love, you throw your reason completely. That's why we say man falls in love. Falls from where? Falls from the head down to the heart. And we use this term of condemnation, falling in love, because the head, the reason, cannot look it without condemning it. It is a fall. Really? Is love a fall or a rising? You become more with it or you become less. You expand or you shrink. With love you become more. Your consciousness is more. Your feeling is more. Your aesthetic sensation is more. Your sensitivity is more. You are more alive. But one thing is less. Reasoning is less. You cannot reason it out. It is blind. As far as the reason is concerned, it is blind. The heart has its own reasons. That's another thing. And the heart has its own eyes. But that's another thing. The eyes of reason are not there. So reason says it is a fall. You are fallen. Unless the heart center starts functioning again, man will not be capable of love. And the whole misery of modern life is because unless man loves, he cannot feel any meaning in his life. Life looks meaningless. Love gives it meaning. Only love is the meaning. Unless you are capable of love, you will be meaningless. And you will feel that you are existing without any meaning. Futile. And society will become attractive. You would like to kill yourself, to finish with yourself, to end. Because what is the use of existing? Mere existing cannot be tolerated. Existence must have a meaning. Otherwise, what is the use? Why go on prolonging yourself unnecessarily? Why go on repeating the same pattern every day? Getting out of the bed and doing the same thing. And again, falling asleep and the next day the same pattern. Why? You have done it so far. What has happened? And you will do it. Unless death comes and relieves you of your burden. So what is the use? Love gives meaning. Not that through love there any result comes into being or any goal. No. But through love, every moment becomes a value in itself. Then you never ask. If someone asks, what is the meaning of life? Know well that love is lacking. Whenever someone asks, what is the meaning of life? He is asking because he has not been able to flower in a love experience. Whenever someone is in love, he never asks, what is the meaning of life? He knows the meaning. There is no need to ask. He knows the meaning. The meaning is there. Love is the meaning in life. And through love, prayer is possible. Because prayer is again a love relationship. Not between two individuals, but between one individual and existence itself. And the whole existence becomes your beloved or lover. But it is possible only through love experience that you can grow into prayer or into meditation. And the ultimate ecstasy is just like love. That's why Jesus says, God is love. Not that God is loving. Christians have been interpreting it in that way, that God is kind, loving. That is not the meaning. Jesus says God is love. He simply equals God and love. You can say love or you can say God. They both mean the same. God is not loving. God is love itself. If you can love, you have entered the divine. And when your love grows to such infinity that it is not concerned with anyone in particular, but has become a diffused phenomenon, there is no lover to you. Rather, the whole existence has become, all that is has become the lover or beloved. It has become prayer. And Tantra is a love method. So the first thing is how to love. And then the second thing is how to grow in love so that love becomes prayer. But one must start from love. And don't be afraid of love. Because that fear shows you are afraid of the heart. The head is cunning. The heart is innocent. With head you feel protected. With heart you become vulnerable. Open. Anything can happen. That's why we have become closed. The fear is there. If you are vulnerable, anything can happen to you. Someone can deceive you. With the mind, no one can deceive you. You can deceive others. But I will tell you, be ready to be deceived, but don't close the heart. Be ready to be deceived, but don't close the heart. That is worth it. That vulnerability to be deceived. Because you will not lose anything. And if you are ready to be deceived infinitely, only then you can believe in the heart. If you are calculative, cunning, clever, too much clever, then you will miss the heart. And modern man is so educated, so sophisticated, so clever. That's why he has become incapable of love. Women were not so. But they are following the modern man fast. They are copying the modern man fast. Sooner or later, they will become just like man. Or they may even overtake him. They are also now becoming incapable. Because the same head orientation, the same effort to be cunning and clever is there now. They may call it a lip movement or anything. But it is not heart-oriented. It is just a copy of the same stupidity that man has been doing with himself. You may go to the other extreme. But if you follow and react, even in your reaction, you follow. A great crisis is there. It is difficult now to prevent women all over the world, prevent them from copying man and his nonsense. Because man seems to be so successful. He is successful in a way. He has become master of things. Now he possesses the whole world. Now the nature he feels he has conquered. And success succeeds. Nothing succeeds like success. And now women feel man has succeeded and has become the master. They must copy him. But look at the other thing also in which man has failed completely. He has lost his heart. He cannot love. Reason alone is not enough. And reason in control is dangerous. Heart must be higher than reason. Because reason is just an instrument. And heart is you. The heart must be allowed to use reason, not the vice versa. But we have been doing that. The head is allowed to dominate. In its domination, the head has killed the heart. And thirdly, one thing more has to be remembered. Why modern man has become incapable of love. Love is basically a sort of madness. A sort of deep participation with nature. A sort of dissolving the ego. It is primal. You are born out of love. Your every cell of the body is a love cell. Your very energy, life energy, is a love energy. You exist in it. But there is no ego in that energy. You cannot feel I. That energy is unconscious. And when you move in love, you become unconscious. Only a fragment of your mind is conscious. And in that fragment of the mind exists the ego. Mind has three layers. First, the unconscious. When you are deep asleep with no dreams, you are in it. The child in mother's womb is absolutely unconscious. He is just part of the mother. The child is not aware that I am separate. Just part of the mother. No separation. No defined existence. Undifferentiated with the mother. And with the existence itself. There is no fear. Because the fear comes only when you become aware of yourself. The child is totally at ease. He is unconscious. And the second layer is of consciousness. A very small fragment, 1/10th part of the unconscious, has become conscious in you through training, education, society, family, and it was needed to survive. So a part of it has become conscious. But that part also gets tired very soon. That's why you need sleep. In sleep you become again a child in the womb. You have fallen back. The conscious is no more there. It has become part of the unconscious. That's why sleep is so refreshing. In the morning you feel alive again, fresh, because you have fallen back to the mother's womb. You may not have observed. Observe someone deep asleep. More or less he will be in the same posture as he was in his mother's womb. And if you can be in the right posture, sleep will follow more easily. If you feel any difficulty in sleep, just feel your mother's womb, imagine, and take the posture you would have been in the mother's womb. In that posture you will fall asleep deeply. You need the same warmth. Otherwise sleep will be disturbed. The same warmth of your mother's womb. And that's why hot milk is good. If you sip hot milk before you're going into sleep, it will be good, because that again makes you a child. Milk is child food. And if hot, you are again at your mother's breast. Hot milk is good for sleep only because of this reason. You fall back into childhood. You are reduced to be a child. Sleep refreshes you. Why? Because the conscious mind gets tired. It is just a part, and the whole is unconscious. It has to fall down back to the whole to get a revival. It is again resurrected. That's why morning you feel good, and morning looks beautiful, not because that only morning is beautiful, because again you have children's eyes. The afternoon is not so beautiful. The world is the same, but you have lost those innocent eyes again, and the evening has become ugly. You are tired. You have lived too much in the conscious. This conscious has the center as ego. These are two ordinary states we know. The third state, Tantra and Yoga, are concerned is the superconscious. The superconscious means when your whole unconscious has become conscious. In the unconscious there is no ego. You are total. In the superconscious again there is no ego. You are total. But in between the two, the conscious mind has a center, the ego. This ego is the problem. This ego creates problems. You cannot fall into love because then you will have to become unconscious, just as unconscious as you become in sleep. Or if you want to rise into prayer, you will have to become totally conscious like a Buddha or like a Mira. So love becomes impossible, prayer becomes impossible. The ego creates the barriers. You cannot lose yourself. And love is losing, dispersing, dissolving, melting. If you melt in the unconscious, it is love. If you melt into the superconscious, it is prayer. But both are meltings. So what is to be done? Remember this. You cannot do anything about it. Let it be deeply noted. You cannot do anything about love, about prayer. Your conscious mind is important. It cannot do anything. It has to be lost. It has to be put aside. And then remember surrender. Whenever you want to move beyond yourself, surrender is the way. Either in love or in prayer. Whenever you long to move beyond, somewhere else where you are not, surrender. Let go is the path. Allow some things to happen to you. Don't manipulate. And once you know how to allow, many things will start happening. You may not be even aware what is possible to you. What a great, tremendous energy you have closed within yourself, which can explode and can become an ecstasy. And whole life will be filled with consciousness, light and bliss. But you don't know. Just like every atom is an atom bomb. If it explodes, tremendous energy is released. And every heart is also an atom bomb. If it explodes in love or prayer, tremendous energy is released. But you have to explode and lose yourself. The seed has to lose itself. Only then the tree is born. And if the seed resists and says, no, I must survive, then the seed can survive. But the tree will never be born. And unless the tree is born, the seed will feel frustrated, because the tree is the meaning. The seed will feel frustrated. The seed can feel fulfilled only when the tree is there, flowering. But then the seed has to lose himself, die. Modern man has become incapable of love because he has become incapable of death. He cannot die to anything. Clings to life, cannot die to anything. In Old English, 300 or 400 years before, this was a usual expression. The lover will say to the beloved, I want to die in you. This was a love expression. Beautiful. I want to die in you. Love is a death of the ego. And only then your real self is born. And modern man is very, very afraid of death. In any way, surrender is death. Love is death. And life also is a continuous death. If you are afraid, you will miss life itself. Be ready to die every moment. Die to the past, die to the future, and die in the present moment. Don't cling and don't resist. Don't make any effort for life, and you will have abundant life. Life will happen to you if you are ready to die. This looks paradoxical, but this is the law. Jesus says, one who is ready to lose will gain. And one who clings will lose everything. Second question. You said last night that the periphery is always changing, whereas the innermost center is eternally unmoving. To realize the center, is it necessary that the peripheral movements must cease? Can they cease? How and when? Then you have missed the whole point. The whole point was, don't make any effort to change the periphery. Allow the periphery as it is. And you cannot change it. It is the nature of the periphery to move and change. You cannot make it static. Nature is flux. It is so. You cannot make it static. And don't waste your time and opportunity in life to make it static. Just know it is change. Be the witness of it. And you will come to feel the innermost center, which is not change. The world is change. Your personality is change. Your body, mind is change. But you are not. You are not the change. So what is the use struggling with the change? No need. Tantra says, please be re-established in your center. Be aware of the center which is unmoving. and allow the whole existence to move. It is not a disturbance at all. It becomes only disturbance if you cling to it, or if you try to make it unmoving. Then you are falling in absurdities, foolish efforts. They will not succeed. You will be a failure. Know well that life is a change. But somewhere hidden in this change is an unmoving center also. Just become aware of it. That very awareness is enough to liberate you. That very feeling that I am unmoving liberates. That's the truth. You know it, and you are different. Don't fight with shadows. And whole life is a shadow, because change is nothing but shadow. The unchanging is the real. The changing is the unreal. So don't ask that to realize the center, how the peripheral change and movement has to be forced to cease. There is no need, and you cannot force it. It cannot cease. The world goes on. Only it will not go on in you. You can remain in the world, and there is no need for the world to be in you. The world is not a disturbance. When you get involved in it, when you become the change, or you feel that you have become the change, then it creates problems. Problems are created not by the changing periphery. They are created by the identification that I am this change. You have fallen ill. Illness is not really the disturbance. When you feel that I have fallen ill, it is disturbance. If you can be a witness of that illness, illness is happening somewhere on the periphery. It is not happening to you. It is happening to someone else. You are just the witness. Then death also can happen, but you will be just the witness. Alexander was returning back from India. Some friends in his country had requested him to bring a sannyasin from India. And when you come with conquered possessions, don't forget, they have said, bring a sannyasin also. We want to see what a sannyasin is. What type of a man is one who renounces the world? What has happened to him who renounces all desires? What type of bliss comes to him who leaves all hankering, thirst, all hunger for future possessions, things? Just in the last moment, Alexander remembered. So in the last town where he was to leave India, back to his country, he told his soldiers to go and find out a sannyasin. So they went to the town and they asked the old man of the town. So they said, yes, there is a sannyasin, a great sannyasin, but it will be difficult. It is very difficult to persuade him to go with Alexander to Athens. But the soldiers were soldiers. They said, you don't be worried about it. He can force anyone. So you don't get worried about it. Just tell us where he is. And we know how to force him. There is no need to persuade. And if Alexander says to your whole town to follow him, you will have to follow. So what of a single sannyasi? But the old man laughed. And the soldiers couldn't understand. Because they have never encountered a sannyasi. So they reached to the sannyasi. He was standing naked on the bank of the river. And they told him that Alexander orders that you have to come with us. And every care will be taken. No inconvenience will be for you. You will be the royal guest, but you have to come with us to Athens. The sannyasin laughed, and he said, it will be very difficult for your Alexander to take me with himself. No force in this world can force me to follow. So it is better. You will not be able to understand. Bring your Alexander. Alexander was disturbed, felt insulted, but he wanted to see this man. He came with a naked sword, and he said, if you say no, then immediately you lose your life. I will cut your head. The name of the sannyasi was, as it is reported in Alexander's regard, Gandhi. The sannyasi said, he again laughed and said, but you came late, a little late. You cannot kill me now because I have killed myself already. You are a little late. You can cut my head, but you cannot cut me because I have become a witness. So when this head will fall down on the earth, you will also see it falling down, and I will also see it falling down. But you cannot cut me, you cannot even touch me. So don't waste time. You can cut. Raise your sword and cut the head. Alexander couldn't kill that man. It was impossible, because it was useless. The man was so beyond death. It was impossible to kill him. Only you can be killed if you cling to life. That clinging to the changing pattern makes you immortal. If you don't cling, you have always been an immortal. Immortality is your birthright. It has always been there. You become immortal if you cling. So there is no question, there is no need to force the changing periphery, to make it static. There is no need, and you cannot make it. It will go on. The wheel will go on. All that you can do is to know that you are not the wheel. You are the axis, not the wheel. Question. man being as he is it not difficult for him to dissolve change through change, sex through sex, etc., without attachments, with their consequent anxiety and disappointment? Man as he is can do this. And this is suggested only for the man as he is. Tantra is a medicine for you, for those who are ill. So don't think that it is not for you, it is for you. And you can do it. But you will have to understand what is meant. When you say that there is the possibility of falling in attachments, and then the consequences will be there, and frustration. You have not understood. Consume change through change means, even if there is attachment, don't fight with it. Be attached. But be a witness also. Let the attachment be there. Don't fight with it. Tantra is a non-fighting process. Don't fight with it. Frustration will come, of course. So be frustrated. But be a witness also. You know well you were attached. You were a witness. Now the frustration has come. You know well it has to come. Now be frustrated. But be a witness. Then through attachment is consumed. And through frustration is consumed. Try this. When you feel miserable, be miserable. Don't fight with it. Try this. It is wonderful. When there is misery and you feel miserable, close your doors and be miserable. Now what you can do? You are miserable, so you are miserable. Now be totally miserable. Suddenly you will become aware of the misery. And if you try to change it, you will never become aware, because your effort, your energy, your consciousness is directed towards change. How to change this misery? Then you started thinking how it came, and now what to do to change it. And you are missing a very beautiful experience, the misery itself. Now you are thinking about the causes, and you are thinking about the consequences, and you are thinking about the methods, how to forget it, how to go beyond it, and you are missing misery itself. And misery is there, and that can be liberating. Just don't do anything. Don't analyze how the misery is created. Don't think what consequences are going to follow. They will follow, so you can see later on. There is no haste. Be miserable, simply miserable, and don't try to change it. Try this for how many minutes you can remain miserable. You will start laughing about the whole thing. The whole thing will look stupid. Because if you are totally miserable, suddenly your center is beyond. That center can never be miserable. It is impossible. If you remain with the misery becomes the background, and your center, which can never be miserable, suddenly rises above. And then you are miserable, and you are not miserable. The same, unsame. Now you are consuming misery through misery. This is what is meant. You are not doing anything, you are simply consuming misery through misery. Misery will disappear as clouds disappear. And the sky will be open. And you will be laughing. And you have not done anything. And you cannot do anything. All that you can do, you can create more confusion and more misery. Who has created this misery? You. And now you are trying to change it. It will get worse. You are the creator of the misery. You have created it. You are the source. And now the source itself is trying. What can you do? Now the patient is treating himself. And he has created the whole thing. Now he is thinking of surgery. It is suicidal. Don't do anything. The insight is very deep. Try this. You have tried so many times to stop misery, to stop depression, to stop this and that, and nothing has happened. Now try this. Don't do anything. Allow the misery to be there in its totality. In the full intensity, allow it to happen. And remain non-doing. Just be with it and see what happens. Life is change. Even Himalaya is changing. Your misery cannot be unchanging. It will change by itself. And you will see that it is changing. Now it is disappearing. Now it is going away. And you feel unburdened. And you have not done anything. Once you know the secret, you can consume anything through itself. But the secret is to be silently without doing anything. Anger is there, be. Just be. Don't do anything. If you can do this much, this non-doing, if you can just be there, present, witnessing, but making no effort to change anything, allowing the things to have their own way, you will consume anything. You can consume anything. The last question. Tantra says, do not struggle or swim, but let go and float in the river of life. But experience shows that modern city life of speed and heavy technology creates constant tensions and exertions, physically and mentally. What will be the Tantra attitude about it? Is it not good to avoid unnecessary exertions? Life has always been so, modern or primitive. Tensions are there. Anxieties are there. Objects change. Man remains the same. 2000 years back, you were driving a bullock cart, now you are driving a car. But the driver remains the same. The bullock cart has changed. Things are different now. You are driving a car. But the driver remains the same. He was anxious about his cart, tense about his cart. Now you are tense and anxious about your car. Objects change. The mind remains the same. So don't think that because of the modern life, you are so much in anxiety. It is because of you, not because of modern life. And you will be in anxiety anywhere, in any type of civilization. Go to a village. For a few days, 2 or 3 days, you will feel good. Because even diseases need readjustment. Within 3 days, you will be readjusted to village, and now anxieties will start coming. Disturbances will be felt again. No, the same will not be the causes, but you are the same. Sometimes it happens that you may be disturbed because of city traffic and noise. And you may be saying that you cannot sleep in the night because there is so much traffic and noise. And go to a village, and you will not be able to sleep because there is no traffic and no noise. And you will have to come back. That the village looks dull, dead, there is no life. People go on reporting to me. One friend, I told him to go to Kashmir, to Pahalgam. He came back and said, life is dull there. There is no life. And you can enjoy for 1 or 2 days valleys and hills, and then one gets bored. And he was telling me here that city life is getting on my nerves. And now he says those hills. I was getting bored. And I started longing back, how to come back to home. You are the problem. Kashmir will not be of any help. It is not Bombay that disturbs you, or London or New York. It is you. And it is not that London has created you, you have created the London. It is not that this traffic and this noise and this mad rush. You have created this. You and others like you. Look, the cause is within you. It is not that you are tense because of noise. The noise is there because you are tense, and you cannot live without it. That's why it is there. You need it. You cannot live without it. And in village, people are suffering. They want to come to Bombay, to New York, to London. And the moment they get the opportunity, they run from there. And I have been listening to people who go on talking about the beautiful village life, but they never go to live there. They never go to live there. They simply talk about it. Who prevents you? Why not go? Go to the forest. Who prevents you? You will not like it. You cannot like it. Right now you will like it for a few days because it is a change. And then you will get bored, dull. And then you will like to escape from there. This city life is created by your mad mind. You are not getting mad because of these cities. These cities are built because of your mad mind. They are built for you and by you, and they exist for you. And unless this mad mind changes, these cities cannot disappear. They will have to remain. They are your byproduct. Remember one thing. Whenever you feel something wrong, first find out the cause in yourself. Don't go anywhere. Out of 100, 99 times, you will find the cause within you. And if you can find out of 199% causes within you, the 100th will disappear by itself. You are the cause. Whatsoever is happening to you, you are the cause. And the whole world is just a mirror. But it is consolatory always to find the cause somewhere else. Then you never feel guilt. You never feel self-condemned. You can always point out, here is the cause. And unless this cause changes, how can I change? You can escape in it. This is a trick. So always your mind goes on projecting causes somewhere else. The wife is disturbed because of the husband. The mother is disturbed because of the children. The children are disturbed because of the father. Everyone is disturbed because of someone else. And everyone always thinks that the cause exists outside. Mullah Nasruddin was passing down a street. It was evening, and the darkness was descending. Suddenly he became aware the street was empty, no traffic. And he became afraid. A group of people was coming towards him, and he was reading about dacoits, robbers, murderers. So he created fear. He started trembling. He projected, now these murderers and dacoits are coming, and they are bound to kill me. So how to escape them? He saw all around, there was a cemetery. So he jumped the wall of the cemetery. And there was a ready-made grave for someone. So he thought it is good to be dead in this grave. They will feel he is dead, there is no need to murder. So Mullah lied down. The group was just a marriage procession. But they saw this man trembling, jumping, so they became afraid. What is the matter? Who is this man? Seems to do some mischief. He is hiding there. So the whole procession stopped. They jumped the wall. Mullah became more afraid, but now they came near. And they asked, what are you doing here? Why are you here in this grave? So Mullah said, you are asking a very difficult question. I am here because of you, and you are here because of me. And this is happening everywhere. You are disturbed because of someone else. He is disturbed because of you. And just creating everything around you, projecting, and then getting afraid, scared, making efforts to defend, and then misery and frustration and conflict and depression and fighting them. The whole thing is stupid. And it will remain unless you change the attitude and always try first to find the cause within you. How the traffic noise can disturb you? How? If you are against it, it will disturb. If you have the attitude that it disturbs, it will disturb. But if you are accepting, allowing it to happen with no reaction. You may even start enjoying it. It has its own melody, its own music. You have not heard, that doesn't mean that it has not its own music. Someday forget yourself and just listen to the traffic noise. Just listen. Don't bring your attitudes that this is disturbing, this is not good. Don't bring your attitudes. Just listen to the melody. In the beginning it will look chaotic. That too is because of the mind. If you relax totally, sooner or later everything will fit in a harmonious whole. And even the traffic noise will become musical. And you can enjoy it. And you can dance to its tune. It depends on you. Nothing disturbs unless you think that it disturbs. For example, I will tell you. Many things have disturbed humanity because there was a certain concept that they disturb. When the concept changes, the things remain the same, but they don't disturb. For example, masturbation disturbed the whole world. Just half century before, the whole world was disturbed by masturbation. Every teacher, every father, every mother was disturbed, and every child was disturbed. And still, on the larger, ignorant world, the disturbance remains. And then physiologists, psychologists discovered that masturbation cannot disturb anyone. It is natural. And nothing is wrong with it. Nothing absolutely wrong with it. But old teaching was that if you get mad, it is because of masturbation. If you are not getting higher ranks into education, it is because of masturbation. If you are ill, it is because of masturbation. Everything was forced down, reduced to masturbation. And more or less every child was doing it. Every boy was doing it. So every boy was afraid. He was doing it. And he was afraid now he is going to be mad, inferior, crazy, eccentric, ill, and the life is wasted. And he couldn't resist. He had to do it, and these ideas entered in his mind. And they had effects. They affected many went mad. Many remained inferior. Many remained stupid because of it. And it has no relationship at all. And the modern science, the modern research says, rather it is healthy. The medical science says it is good. Because at the age of 14 or 13, the boy, or at the age of 12 and 13, the girl, they become sexually mature. If nature is allowed, they must get married immediately. They are ready to reproduce. But civilization, necessity forces, they will have to remain unmarried for 10 years at least, or even more. And medicine says 14 to 20, these 6 years, are the most potent sexually. Now the boy will never be so potent again as he is now. The energy is bubbling up. The whole body is ready to burst in sex. And the society says, no, the energy should not be allowed to move. But the energy is moving and the child cannot do anything. And whatsoever he is going to do will have effects because of the philosophy around. He will feel he is doing something wrong. He will feel guilt. And that guilt will follow as a shadow. And many diseases will happen because of the idea, not because of the act. Medicine says it is healthy because he is relieved of unnecessary energy. Otherwise that unnecessary energy will create problems. So it is healthy. Now they are propagating, particularly in America, England, and other Western developed countries who know much more about physiology. Now they are propagating masturbation. Now there are films to show to the children how to masturbate. And every teacher will be teaching sooner or later how to masturbate rightly. And they say it is healthy. And now those who think it is healthy, they feel very healthy about it. I don't think it is either. It is neither healthy nor unhealthy. The idea. If it is healthy, and the concept is stretched, it will become healthy. Now they say, not only that masturbation never affected anyone's intelligence, they say, better than intelligence, more masturbation will be there. So a boy who is masturbating more will be of higher IQ than the boy who is not masturbating. And they have reasons to say. Because even to find out masturbation is a sign of intelligence, because he is finding out a way. The society has closed the door for marriage. And the nature is forcing the energy. The intelligent one will find out the way, and the non-intelligent one will be just blocked. He will not be able to find out the way. And now the studies show that those boys who masturbate, they are more intelligent. If this idea is stretched, and it is bound to be there, sooner or later the whole world will be under this idea, then masturbation will be healthy and you will feel well-being. Now every parent is afraid, because the parent knows what he did when he was young. When his boy becomes young and comes to the same age, he becomes afraid. And he starts looking around what the boy is doing. He is afraid, and if he finds the boy, he will punish. But the new knowledge says, don't punish the boy, rather teach him. And if he is not doing, then go to the doctor and find out what is wrong. If this becomes a well-spread knowledge, then it will happen. But both are suggestions. Both are suggestions, and when some boy masturbates, he is very suggestive in that moment. Because when sexual energy is being released, he becomes vulnerable, open, flexible, and his mind is silent. Any idea put in that moment will have effects. So if you say you are going to be ill because of it, he will feel. If you say you are going to be healthy because of it, he will become healthy. If you say you will be stupid whole your life if you do this, he will remain a dunce. If you say now, this is a good sign of intelligence, he may get a higher IQ. You are simply suggesting in a very vulnerable moment. Whatsoever you think starts happening. Buddha is reported to have said that every thought will become a thing. So be aware. If you think that the traffic noise disturbs you, it will disturb you. You are ready for disturbance. If you think a family life is bondage, it will be a bondage to you. You are ready for it. If you think that poverty will help, and poverty will make you liberated, it will help. It is you ultimately who is creating a world around you. And whatsoever you think becomes the new sphere, the milieu, and you exist in it. Tantra says, remember this causality. It is always within you. And if you know this, then you will not cause anything. If you know this, you will not cause anything for yourself. And when someone is not causing anything, he is liberated. Then he is not in misery and not in bliss. Remember this. Bliss is also your creation. Misery is also your creation. You can change your misery into bliss because they are your creations. And the liberated one, really the enlightened one, is neither. Because he has ceased to cause anything around him. He simply is. That's why Buddha never says that the enlightened one is blissful. Whenever someone asks him, tell us something about one who has gone beyond, whether he is in perfect bliss, Buddha laughs and he says, don't ask. I can say only this much, that he is not in misery. I cannot say anything more. He is not in misery, that's all I can say. Why so much insistence on the negative? Because Buddha knows when you have come to know that you were the cause of your misery, then you know well that the bliss also is caused by you. And then one ceases to cause anything. That is what nirvana is. Cessation of causing anything around you. Then you are simply no misery, no bliss. And if you can understand, only this is bliss when there is no misery and no bliss. Because if there is bliss, misery is there. You are still causing something. And if you can cause bliss, you can cause misery. And you will get bored of the bliss also. How much you can extend it? How much? Have you ever thought that 24 hours in bliss, will you be able to extend it? You will get bored. And you will go on seeking teachers who can teach you how to get miserable again.